Today, how long ago was ChillPoint? I don't know, a week or so? This is ChillPoint.
For those of you panicking, there was a checkpoint this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Just so long ago now.
I mean, technically it was last week, depending on how you define your weeks.
I start mine with Monday. Mostly because I like the weekend being grouped together. I think it's unfair to keep Saturday and Sunday split apart like that.
But you get to end your week on a day off, and then you get to start your week on a day off.
So you would take your convenience of having those happen and not let Saturday and Sunday be together in their primal romance stages.
Yeah, they're like Orihime and Hikoboshi, if I got the names right. They can only meet once a year.
What about Sunday and Monday?
Oh,
What
they
about-
don't want to do anything with each other.
It's literally the sun and the moon.
Sunday always wants
No
to
Sunday,
do
Monday
brunch,
shipping?
and Monday is always about mornings. That relationship's not working out.
All right.
They won't get any work done if you put them beside each other. Just because they're both days off.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint. And today is Sunday, not Friday, which hopefully isn't that big a surprise to you.
Especially if it's on YouTube.
Well, if you're watching this on YouTube right when it goes up, it's probably Tuesday.
Yeah, it's true. So,
There are no
today
other days of the week.
is either Friday, Sunday, or Tuesday, depending on how you're feeling right now.
Yeah. Or Wednesday if you're in that part of the world.
Oh,
Or it
hey,
could
don't
be-
hey, don't stick Rhythm Tuesdays.
It could be
That's
literally
our-
any other
that's our
day
stick.
as well.
You stay away from it. And I know I'm saying it wrong. I hate the word shtick.
It's
I'm not saying
Yiddish.
that.
It's an actual
I
word.
don't care. I hate the way people that are like me say it. English-speaking people.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So,
That includes me.
this is ChillPoint, show where we are normally talking about video game news, but sometimes
today-
also talk about other stuff.
Today, no video game news at all. Right?
And
We agreed. We agreed right now.
Because it's happening on Sunday.
And the reason why it is happening on Sunday is because we had the Fam Jam on Friday. The
Mom
March of the Machine Fam Jam, which was a lot of fun. You should check it out if you did not.
It's already up on youtube.com/LRRMTG.
Look at that. How efficient.
I know, because the video took a while to process, but at 2 a.m. I made it go online.
Ah.
It's like
Or
9
rather
hours
for
long.
like 10 a.m. Yeah, it's actually quite a long one.
So, let's talk about the episode of ChillPoint that went up on Thursday, which, again, may or may not be last week, depending on when you're watching this. And starting off with the Sonic Waffle
right.
Maker.
The best news of the week.
The most controversial news, I would say, this week. A lot of people in the comments defending their ownership of a waffle maker.
Yes, but also appreciating the fact that we definitely made a blue waffle joke without having to mention blue waffles.
Where do we fall on this Venn diagram?
I don't know.
Okay, do any of us like Sonic?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like Sonic.
Sonic's okay.
Okay.
But not Beach.
I am also a fan of waffles.
I am a waffle maker.
I do
I
like
do
waffles.
not own a waffle maker, but my parents own a waffle maker, and I greatly enjoy going over there occasionally for breakfast and having waffles.
Do they own the one that flips over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
My dad actually he had a really old waffle maker for like a really long time
Yeah.
that he like kept coaxing to work because in his words modern waffle iron, like consumer waffle irons you can buy, don't get hot enough.
Ah,
Like then they take forever to cook.
I see.
So this is like an old school really good waffle
Yeah,
maker.
suck 1,500 watts out of the wall. Yeah.
And so he didn't get a new one until he could get one of those it's like a commercial one that
Yeah.
flips.
Yeah. Now the place in question, which I've totally forgotten the name of.
Dave and Buster's.
Dave and Buster's doesn't
I
exist.
don't think we even have
No.
near us. I've never been to one even. So
There's a substantial number of people talking about that. They're like, I fit in all of those things. Why don't I have this already? And also a lot of people talking about their love of waffle makers. In some cases, novelty waffle makers.
Ah,
So some novelty
Yeah.
waffle makers are really neat looking.
and also
I don't really think the Sonic one is that interesting.
No.
But I've seen other ones that are marketed in that same kind of way, not completely exclusive to an arcade place,
There's
but
been lots of
you
like
know,
Star Wars ones and
Star
stuff
Wars,
like
Hello Kitty,
that.
and they do look neat.
Yeah.
I don't know how well they work, but I don't know how many people buy them to make waffles.
It's true. It seems like more of a display piece.
It is literally a unitasker though, like
Yes, but there's a thing called collect 'em.
so just not even using them
Put
at
the
all.
box
yeah.
on the shelf.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of a collectible. Like,
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's not a good waffle iron.
It's like a waffle iron. So I've seen people say that, oh, well, I have a Star Wars waffle iron. Why? Because it was cheaper than the normal waffle iron, made by the same company, and that didn't come in Star Wars theming.
Right,
It's like,
right.
we're clearing this shit out, so
Oh,
buy
sure,
it,
yeah.
right? And so that's why I have that thing. But it sounds like they do the job just as well as any other waffle iron would be, because frankly, it's a heating element with a plate on either, like two heating elements with plates on either side. It's like, it doesn't have to be rocket science to work. It just has to like plug it in and get hot. So I have to assume that even the cheapest waffle maker in the world still makes waffles.
I think you
but
saying
doesn't
that
make it
betrays
well.
your lack of understanding of the nuances of waffle makers.
Like, we have a rotating waffle maker at home.
Yes,
So, it's like that.
but I'm talking
Has-
like the kind of waffle. These are the kind of waffle makers you get that are like akin to the sandwich presses.
Yes, exactly.
Like $12 whatevers.
Yeah. I used to have one of those as well. The ones that had the flat plates on one side and had the waffle plates on the other side when you flip the plates.
oh, I see. Right.
Yeah, those were good. They and Mom would make waffles in those, and yes, those got very hot as well.
All
they're
right.
they're indiscriminate. They will burn everybody.
So what I'm hearing is we either need to make a breakfast club. In fact, we should make a breakfast club, just the three of us, and we should call it Fam Jam. And we can have the non-magic Fam Jam.
For those
which
who are
is just us
famished, you
eating
may have
breakfast.
jam. Yes.
Yeah. You put jam on your waffles, right?
I would totally bring the waffle maker in here to put jam on
We
them.
got a nice table.
Yeah.
There's three of us. It's perfect.
Put
We
the,
put a
the plates
warning
right
that we're
underneath the
gonna
mic,
eat.
so
We're gonna
clink,
eat
clink,
food,
clink.
and then people who don't want to see that can go away because
Yeah.
I understand,
I am just
but they'll know.
I am really just kind of like surprised by the fact that it's like this thing exists, but is an exclusive prize to a barcade.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, because it was like you'd think you'd want to market it more, and it's like, but maybe they decided it wasn't worth it. Like,
Okay, so
I wonder if this was made in conjunction with Dave and Buster's. Like
yeah, okay.
Sega came to Dave and Buster's and was like, okay, we've got, it's Sonic's 30th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
We want to promote Sonic at your place.
Yeah.
What kinds of things, what kind of Sonic memorabilia do you think would work for Dave and Buster's?
And they're like, well, we have a this kind of thing
They're
and
like,
a that kind of
waffle
thing.
iron. People are nutso for
I mean,
waffle irons.
That would be great if it was literally like the first thing out of their mouth. Guys like windmill slam waffle iron. It's like, what? Make us a waffle iron that gives us Sonic's face. And it's like, oh God, Dave is weird. No, it's Buster. Buster is weird.
well, like the way I see
They're
it is
fine
either,
separate, but when they go together, they just reinforce each
It's
other.
like Ian and I.
yeah.
Look forward to a Love Doctors themed barcade in your town.
So is your arcade just filled with love testers?
Oh, that'd be good.
Only
Just
love testers?
Only love testers. That seems boring as hell.
But that old, that the
Hold the sticks.
the old Nintendo one that
Yeah.
we talked about,
Yeah.
made by
Definitely
the guy,
have one of
made by
those.
the guy who made the Game Boy.
I wanted to be able to hold hands with a girl, he said.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Did that work out?
It did.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Then he realized he wanted to do more with a girl, and holding onto the thing is not really conducive to a lot of that. So, yeah.
I guess it's a start.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's basically that story. Other than it was fun. Graham and I consulted a little bit on this in terms of how to actually do how the Venn diagram should look.
It's good. Yeah.
and I sort of experimented with a couple of different options for like, should, what colors should the different parts be?
Right.
And should because there's the different schools of like coloring in your Venn diagram.
Yes.
Should the different sections be like semi-transparent and just overlay each other?
Right.
Or should each sort of intersection be like a different color?
Right.
To kind of separate it all out.
And then should they be the combination of those two, or should they be the complement of the combination? So it's like if you have red and green go over each other, it's like, well, then should I actually make that orange or something so it actually really sticks out that it's like, or should I actually have the red and green? What does red and green make in additive color theory again?
Purple? No.
Red and blue makes purple.
Red and green is like brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, but additive color theory, if you have RGB and you put a red and a green on top of each other, because green...
Oh,
okay,
that'd
Are
be
we
yellow.
talking
yeah.
Yellow.
light,
Yes.
or are we
Yeah,
talking...
light.
Yeah.
Not pigments. We're talking light.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking light, it would be yellow.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing about the Venn diagram that I think is kind of interesting is we didn't label the other intersections, like the Sonic Dave & Buster's fan
Yes.
or the Waffle Sonic fan.
No, it's
who
true.
doesn't like Dave & Buster's, who is presumably very disappointed in this whole thing.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
like, that is exactly what I want. I'll have to go,
gotta go somewhere I
get
don't
one
wanna
off
go.
eBay or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna guess more of the person who is like that is like someone who lives in like rural areas or Canada or anywhere else in the world that doesn't have a Dave & Buster's.
Poor, deprived people.
Yeah, but I would imagine the people in like more rural America where it's like, I don't have a Dave & Buster's more than 5 hours away or less than 5 hours away from me.
But
So
can you imagine the Waffle Dave & Buster's fan
Mm.
who's very anti-Sonic
Oh.
and how disappointed they are?
And it's like, finally Dave & Buster's has
they
a
have
waffle iron.
Yeah.
I've
but
been-
it's of the thing I hate the
Yeah.
most.
Oh.
yeah, that's
like,
actually
do you
that's
have
my
a-
intersection.
It's like, do you have a regular waffle iron?
Yeah.
It's not only the Sonic one.
It's like,
Wow.
okay, but surely it's a blue waffle iron. This will be really pretty in my house, and then it'll just make a normal ass
You
waffle.
will
It's just
have
in a
to see
Sonic
Sonic's
box.
face every time
And then
you
they-
make a waffle.
They
That
get it
is your
home, they dump
punishment.
batter in it without looking, and then when they open it up, there's Sonic just staring back at them, and they just have a fit and go cry in the bathtub.
Now, the question is, I wonder, in a couple months,
That's why they get that big bathtub.
how much these, theoretically, in a couple months, some of these might show up on eBay or whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder how much.
Couple hundred maybe.
I don't know I don't think it was in the article, how many
They've
Dave
made.
& Buster's tokens or points or whatever you need to get one.
Oh yeah.
How
Yeah.
much time or money does getting one of these waffle irons represent in your Dave & Buster's
well.
experience?
And do they do that thing where it's like you can pay up to a certain percentage in just cash? So if you're like, okay, I have 500 tickets now, Dave. Can I please trade this in? And Dave's like, well, Buster said you're gonna have
Yeah,
to.
I'd
500
say
plus $100 cash.
I'd say yes, but Buster's a hard ass.
Yeah,
I can't. Sorry.
Apparently, they're already on eBay.
95
They're about
bucks.
$95
$95. I'm assuming it's American.
Yeah, probably.
So that's like
That's-
130 or
I mean, that's
Canadian.
expensive for a waffle iron, but
Does that
probably
include
not
shipping?
for a collector's item. Probably not.
No. And then also that for $95, it's like, okay, so does that represent, did it cost you, because you want to still have it to profit, so let's assume they want to make it like a $30 profit. So did you spend $65 or $70 on all the games? Like, did you
Right.
go in and be like, okay, I'm spending $70 today to get this thing, and then you did, and you had to generate that many tickets, and then you turn around and flip it on eBay, and you're like, I'm going to make $30 off this. It's not bad.
I mean, presumably, the actual process was entertaining as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're going to Dave & Buster's and, grinding the just going through, just running the things as much as possible in order to make profit off
Yeah.
selling the thing.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
exactly.
sure that's not going to work
No.
no matter what you do.
You should just keep your money.
You need to stop reading chat because I just want to do so many things that they don't want me to do now. I want to make a Sonic waffle and have the drowning music play as you have
Yeah,
syrup.
syrup over it,
and
yes.
once you have the syrup there, the drowning music can't stop until you've eaten the waffle, and it's going to be unpleasant for everyone.
So, this is what I don't understand is that we keep making all these novelty waffle makers. But what we could just do is just make one style of waffle maker that works very well and then just have plates that just you can just buy additional plates to put into it. I feel like that's a much more efficient use. It's way less waste because everyone can just buy like a good waffle maker. You get one like when you're like 23 years old, or you're moving into your first apartment out of the college dorms or whatever it is. So you're not finally allowed to have a waffle maker.
Everyone is like assigned a waffle maker.
You just kind of you're like
at birth?
Now I get to get one. I move in, or you move into your apartment and bolted to the counter is the commercial waffle maker.
Right. It's just like your microwave or your regular appliances.
This is it's right there, and it's like good. We've got this thing. It's very reliable. Has a permanent connection to power or whatever. And then you can go out into the world and you can buy your novelty waffle plates. So you can have like Darth Vader's face on one side of your waffle and Sonic's on the other if you want. And, you can finally the crossover we've all been dreaming of that didn't show up in Fortnite yet, I imagine. And so it's like you could do stuff like that. Now you just have plates, and then you can have like a little rack in your house where you put all of your waffle iron plates. You can have them, or you can have them on the wall, like you used to display like dishes and stuff. Right now, you can wash the plates off and put them back on the rack on the wall, so you can show off like all the cool. Like look at the collection of waffle iron plates that I have, and your friends would come over and they marvel at the fact that you have all of these pieces of iron on your wall.
I think there are
weirdos like me.
No. Well, I don't know about that, but there are waffle irons with interchangeable plates. So yeah, we just need some kind of
ISO standard.
Yeah, so some sort of standards body to come up with the waffle iron standard connection, because I'm sure they all have like weird proprietary shapes and stuff to make it not intercompatible.
Yeah, it's like, no, we should put an end to that.
This is a great idea because this really works with the intersection of people who need to protect their home from the Fae.
Yeah, because all that cold iron.
Gotta have all that iron.
All that cold iron, yep.
It's perfect.
I mean, it won't be cold iron if you're using it as the waffle.
But if you're not using all of it at the
then
same time,
right? Some of them will at least be cold iron because they won't be in the iron. Yeah.
You need to stop us, Paul, or we will be here forever.
All right. Well, then let's talk about Gary Bowser.
Oh.
Who
I regret my choices.
Good thing we moved on.
Who is somebody who was a quote-unquote hacker? Well, I don't know. He wasn't really a hacker.
He wasn't a hacker.
He was a person who was doing the marketing for a company that made hacking stuff for Switch. Security circumvention devices.
Yes.
For Switch. And seemed to get the brunt. Now, I don't know if a bunch of people from the company got got the book thrown at them.
The report was that there was more than one. So let's just leave it at that, I guess.
But there were others, but they did not have this name.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for him, Gary Bowser's name is Bowser, which is funny. So that's that's the line that everyone goes with.
I'm sure when he got the notice that he was infringing copyright, he thought it was because of his name. Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, it turns out, as we've discovered after Doug Bowser took over, like, I guess Bowser is not that uncommon a last name.
Yeah.
I personally hadn't heard it before, but there's a lot of people out there who just have the last name Bowser.
Yeah.
That aren't related to Nintendo.
There's at least two.
Yeah.
So this idea is that he has been released, but there's $14.5 million that he owes Nintendo, which he will never be able to according to him anyway.
Yeah.
He will never be able to repay, which is probably not inaccurate.
That's
believable.
That's probably true.
And so Nintendo, I guess this is maybe a standard thing for these kind of legal costs, is that they will garnish his wages to between 25 and 30% until that is recouped.
Yes.
Which presumably will be a very long time, if not his entire life.
Yeah, because if he's older than I am, so he's like starting his 50s or in his 50s or whatever, and he retires maybe when he's 60 or 70 or something like that, it's like, at that point, do you take part of his pension? That sucks.
I mean, this is clearly sort of a making an example of
Yes,
kind
it
of
is.
thing.
Yeah.
They came down, both Nintendo and the whatever the legal system came down quite hard in comparison to other instances of this kind of stuff we've seen in the past. I mean, part of my joke for this was that, like, if was like, hey, Beej, he only has to give 25% of his monthly salary to Nintendo.
Yeah, I have to give fucking all of it.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, he's giving 25% of his wages to Nintendo. They could at least give him, like, Nintendo Online.
Yeah. Oh, God, wouldn't that be the worst thing if it was like, you have to give us X amount of your wages, but to show there's no hard feelings, we're going to basically ensure that we will clothe you in Nintendo stuff and feed you in Nintendo cereal for the rest of your life. So, just to show there's no hard feelings, you have to be a walking advertisement for us.
I feel like you're adding an extra level of pettiness.
It's very, like, there's a level of maliciousness
you must legally grow a mustache.
Like when it comes
and
down to it,
speak in a bad Italian accent.
Yeah.
If I recall, like, we've seen stories about Gary Bowser a couple of times as it was leading up. I'm pretty sure this, like, by the time they went to court, was not the first time that they were brought in.
They were not surprised this was coming, I have a feeling. Yes.
But I thought that they had said that they were going to fight it instead as well. I don't really recall, but
yeah.
I think the sentencing is awfully harsh.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's unwarranted.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, I feel the same way, that it's like, if you know that you're doing something that is illegal, because you're very much aware that it's an illegal thing, then you can't really claim that, but I should be allowed to do it, unless you can get the law changed, right? Unless you're in the kind of position where you can do that. And that's not easy to do. It's damn near impossible in a lot of cases to do that kind of thing. And yeah, I feel like you can kind of always make that statement, like, well, did the punishment fit the crime? And you're like, well, okay, the punishment, you think that if you take something away from your sister, your parents make you give it back and apologize, and then they lecture you for an hour or whatever. That's like prison. They lecture you for an hour, and you have to sit there and listen to them do that as a child. And then you're like, okay, now I will not do this again. And then you do it again, and they're like, okay, no, we're gonna.
Now you have to give 30% of everything you earn to your sister.
Right, like that kind of idea. It's like we have this sense of recuperative justice, where it's like if you take something away from somebody, then you have to recoup it to the person who lost. They demonstrate that they lost something, you give it back. And it's so hard in a case like this, where you're like, well, we're talking about the opportunity cost of a video game, right? It's like the guy who put 1,000 games on his Switch was not going to buy all 1,000 of those games, but he went and he downloaded them all because they were ripped and made available, and then somebody made a mod chip, and then he could put 1,000 games on the Switch, right? So it's like you can't really claim that same thing of, well, we lost this much in terms of sales because this many games exist on somebody's Switch, or that kind of idea.
I mean, you can. And they do.
Yeah.
Like, that's the standard method. Like, when
it is how they figure it out.
It is the method, but I'm saying that it is a little bit unfair to say that, oh, well, now there's this. It's like, right, but you weren't going to extract that much money from that person to begin with anyway. So what's the actual recuperative method? Yeah,
I mean, but like in a lot of, piracy, bootlegging type cases, the amount that they are, that is claimed is like, not only that as if the person had bought them, but it'll be like, if the retail cost of it is like $60, it's like, well, you sold 1,000, so that means this is $60,000 worth of damages.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, no, not necessarily people wouldn't have bought it, and if they did, it probably wouldn't have been at full price.
Yeah.
But that's how they.
But of course, and the argument there is like, it is impossible to tell that stuff. How do you actually do it? And it's like, well, they had to come up with a method, and they came up with a method that's way more punitive than you would expect.
Right, but then of course
you have to have a method.
On top of this, like anything like this, there's the actual like repayment, and then there's
the more punitive damages.
The like
discouragement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever you
I
want to
mean-
call it, the punitive damages.
Yeah.
This is very much this is harsher for example reasons
Yeah.
of feeling.
Yeah.
I just like I've seen some stuff going by in chat about how he's not a great person for other reasons and other stuff too, but
Yeah.
like that's
Which,
not
which may be true, but
punishing someone for other things than what the actual case is about
Yeah.
is not what I'm here for.
And it's also not how the legal system works.
No.
Right?
yeah, and I mean, I don't think we probably don't want to hold this guy up as like it's like he was done wrong by
Yeah.
the legal system.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
he did
I
the thing.
find
but,
yeah.
I find stories like this annoying in the sense that there is a contingent of people online who want to pirate everything regardless of everything because they hate everything.
Yeah.
And this is just another example for them to do that. And I'm not saying that all piracy is bad, but I do think there is a line. I
Yeah.
think you want to grab a ROM from a game that's 30 years old that can't be played in any other way.
I think we could excuse that.
I personally don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to
I mean-
grab a ROM from a game that hasn't come out in like a week. I have a little bit more of a problem with that because I have a problem with the idea that we make stuff, and what if people decided it was okay?
to just grab it
To
off
just
of our
yeah,
grab it
server.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
everybody has certain, a sort of a line where that is, and that's different for different people. And obviously, the
Yeah,
law
I
is
find
also
it-
different.
I find it
because-
annoying to read comments where people are like, well, this justifies all my piracy needs. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, I guess, but not really.
Yeah, people who
Find
were
real reasons.
Yeah, people who are pirating anyway are like, now I have it just, yeah.
And there's also a sense of like, and I saw it go by in chat where it's like but do we think the punishments are too severe in these cases? And it's like, well, that is also difficult to judge because part of the reason why you publicize a punishment and say, hey, if you do this thing, because it's not people be like, it's not like he murdered a guy. It's like, no, you're right. It's not like he murdered a guy because if he murdered a guy, he'd be in 25 to life.
He'd have a
Like,
different punishment
you know,
going on right
that,
now.
Yeah.
For
they
one
wouldn't be
thing.
that concerned about the money. I don't think they'd be really concerned about keeping him behind bars because that's how that works. But it's like, but in the same sense, I'm like, right, like if what you're trying to do is to provide like, again, recuperative justice. If you're trying to get a person to like rehabilitate, there's a whole thing we could go into about how legal systems in different countries, how some of them are better for getting people to rehabilitate than others, and we're not going to do that here.
Goodness, no, please
but
don't.
there is that sense of, well, what is rehabilitative about telling somebody, hey, you sold a bunch of mod chips, and you which allowed people to pirate a bunch of video games, and so now you owe us specifically this millions of dollars for this, and you have to go to prison for that. And I'm like, what helps this person not do that anymore? What you've done is you've definitely punished them for the thing that they have done, but what convinces them to not do this kind of thing anymore? And that's not just Gary Bowser. That is, in a larger sense, everything about the legal system and how you punish this, because
I guess
it's hard to kind of
honestly
create individual punishments for each. You can't be Lucifer and putting people in their own little hell loop to kind of convince them to not be that person anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm kind of curious why he would have gotten, and I'm assuming whoever else got punished as individuals and not the company as a company.
Well, because it's not a company, it's a team, and I don't know if it actually was a limited liability company. It might have just been a loose coalition of people.
Yeah, presumably, and also this is probably the kind of thing that pierces the liability thing.
Yeah. Enron sure fucking did it? But anyway.
I was actually thinking, what would be great here? You ever watch show White Collar?
I have not.
No.
It's one of these shows where there's that a guy who's this extremely charismatic art forger, art thief,
Oh, okay.
and of course he gets caught and goes to jail, and then he's out on parole, helping the police
Right.
catch other forgers.
Right.
So Gary Bowser starts working for Nintendo because he knows how to market to these piratey type people.
Right.
Starts working for Nintendo, like showing Nintendo how to how to get, how to handle these.
Yeah, how to
How to-
locate them, shut it all down.
Yeah.
don't-
That's what we need.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think it is.
But
It would be funny
God.
though,
do you think it would be funny?
and that's like his. It's like a work release thing, right? It's like you can either work for Nintendo or you can go back to prison.
Right. It's like, Laserbeaks. Jesus, what a
Do,
great.
what do I get a red badge? No.
No.
Do I get a blue badge? No.
Oh, yours will have black and white stripes.
Anyway,
So long, Gary Bowser.
Uh,
That's really funny. Thank you, Laserbeaks. Anyway,
let's talk about Counter-Strike 2 skins or Counter-Strike skins, weapon skins. Which is great because this is a story about Counter-Strike weapon skin that went for $400,000.
mm-hmm.
It's really, really ugly.
Because it's just some stickers on a skin.
It's a skin with
Well,
some, yeah.
No, it's a skin
Ah,
with some stickers on it.
right. Okay.
The skin itself is worth however many $100,000,
Oh, okay.
and then the stickers were each like one of the stickers sold for $60,000. So it's the combination of the things.
Yeah.
I thought the stickers, because there were so many, the rarity of having that many in one place was what was contributing to maybe just a bog standard AK-47 skin or whatever, right? No, this
Oh
is
no,
that-
that's why Graham's joke was like the Power 9 being stuck to this painting.
yeah.
They're
This is rare.
ultra
This is rare. Super rare.
Ultra rare.
Yeah.
And so this idea, and what's great about this is, it's a story about people, digital in-game good that has no actual purpose, selling for a very large amount of money, not involving NFTs at all. As we've talked about it many times, you don't need NFTs to do this whole thing.
No, it does
No.
not need to be on the blockchain.
Which is
you can also still just do this weirdness without that.
what was frustrating to me is I saw a few places people talking about this. Somebody being like, everybody's been so mad about NFTs, but like Valve has been doing it all this time, and
Like, not
nobody
really.
nobody gets mad at them.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for one thing, yes, like the fact that the weapon skins in Call of Duty has been talked about a lot. There's been big scandals involving people doing gambling with weapon skins and stuff.
Yeah.
But two, I really, really don't want the term NFT to just mean like a digital thing.
Digital good. Yeah.
No, because
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, for one thing,
there's
it's not. There's a difference.
There's a very big difference. And that difference is the reason why people DLC, digital goods going for way too much money is stupid.
Yes.
But NFTs are at a whole extra level of stupid.
Yes.
I'd also argue that it's not that no one's ever been mad at Steam or Valve for doing that in the past. It's just it's not the hot topic where
Yeah.
everyone's being loudly mad. They're still angry about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
Steam's been around for like 20 years.
But
So.
they had their anger period, and now we have this anger period.
Yeah.
And next week, maybe we'll have a different one. Who knows? Twitter keeps just doing stuff, and we're constantly angry about it. And they are never going away.
Yeah.
I want them to die already.
I do like, that somebody said that I saw in a thread, and that sort of turned into this discussion, which is I personally also find kind of amusing.
Yeah.
Is the kind of rewriting of history of basically when with the Epic Games Store, and even especially when it first came out, but even now people are there's some people are extremely against the Epic Games Store for reasons that I can't quite understand, but they're like, because they were doing like exclusives and stuff. Right?
Not just that it's like I have to now go to a second entity to buy
Well, it
video
is that
games.
too.
Right,
So it's
but on
this,
top of that, it's
this game was going to be on Steam, and then Epic spent a lot of money
To make it
and make it
exclusive.
Epic Games Store exclusive. Now I have to download this extra thing.
Yeah.
So much extra work. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
And this sort of rewriting of history, the idea that like Steam is great, and Epic sucks.
Yes.
When it's like when Steam came out, it was very bad.
Yeah.
Nobody liked it.
No.
And it was one of the first instances of actually extremely effective always online DRM on Windows that people really objected to when it first came
Yeah.
out. It had an offline mode that didn't work for like 7 years. Like it had an offline mode, but it basically didn't work for a very, very long time. And it was, buggy and also had all sorts of terrible things. But it's been around for 20 years now, and everyone's kind of gotten used to it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I mean,
we
you're
shifted the
talking
Overton
about
window.
you're talking about how people are mad at Epic for basically existing
Yeah.
because they maybe put in for a Kickstarter and it was supposed to come out on Steam, and now they have to wait longer. Is generally the thing because
Yeah, usually it's not even exclusive.
But like,
Yeah,
there were stories about how Epic was trying to like supposedly get exclusive things, and if people said no, they wouldn't let them on the Epic store. There were reasons like that. I personally just don't want to download another thing. I don't even download GOG. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't even want to have Steam, to be honest, Paul. But we do stuff, and so I have Steam.
Just want to go to a website to buy a video game and say buy video game and download it. Yeah.
I
Definitely don't want to have the whatever Ubisoft launcher thing I have on my computer.
yeah,
And
yep.
and the other things that I still have to get even if I buy a game on Steam
Ubisoft Connect
or
Steam,
Activision or EA or
EA
I
Play.
think EA Play. it must be EA Play because I think
Yeah.
it's for Sims or something.
and they all have
Like,
different Connect. Yeah, they all
I
have different setups,
Yeah.
and they all have their own like loader and stuff. Yeah, GOG at least has is optional, but
Yeah.
anyway. So
Origin, yeah, that one. I don't know. I barely play games on my computer. It's used for other things. I have consoles for that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, people spend a lot of money on for CS:GO skins.
Yes.
Seem to be like in terms of in-game digital assets.
Right.
For whatever reason. Like CS:GO is a popular game,
Yeah.
but it isn't like the most popular game.
It is not.
But for some reason, in terms of like digital skins that are sold and resold, they seem to be far and away the biggest
Yeah.
marketplace for that.
And boy, you can make some assumptions about what that means, right? Because you're like, well, CS:GO has been out for a very long time, so it's very well established. It has a marketplace for where you can buy and sell these things, and that's been operating for a very long time. Very frictionless, I'm going to assume as well. Very easy way to make a lot of transactions. Very easy way to send a lot of money back and forth to people across the internet.
Well, that's true. I mean, in a lot of other like newer games don't have, like CS also has a full like an official marketplace,
Right.
and there's also unofficial marketplaces, but like it is sort of explicitly part of the Steam and stuff that you can
Yeah.
buy and sell these skins, whereas a lot of other games don't have that because they don't want it to interfere with their loot boxes.
I should also say that what's interesting about this too is that we alleged that sounds like money laundering, that kind of thing, right?
I mean, there's definitely been
A lot of accusations made
gambling
about
and
yeah,
whatever
that kind of thing.
things.
But-
because of the auction sites and
I don't think this transaction is money laundering. I think it
Well-
is rich people playing with their money. And the only reason I think that is because this transaction has been one of the biggest. And it's number 3, remember? The dude came out and said it was number 3. It's like, this transaction...
Well, he thought it was number 2, but then he was corrected.
He was corrected. It's number 3. So this one's one of the biggest. And if you want to launder your money, you don't do it in a way that attracts a lot of attention.
You do like a bunch of $10,000 ones or
Exactly, right? You send it through a bunch of your front companies, you do all these other kind of things. It's like, this is not the way to launder your
because
money.
people are probably going to be watching this thing
Yeah, you see that
to
much
see when it
stuff-
gets sold again. Yeah.
Exactly. You'll see, well, where does it go to after this, and then how do you move this stuff around? It's like, yeah, no, everyone's going to be watching now what the overall value is. So this is the thing where it gets our, prick up our ears kind of thing to be like, oh, that's interesting. That could be money laundering. It's like, but it probably isn't money laundering in this case.
I don't think anybody.
Nobody got to me, by the way. It's not like I got a phone call in the middle of the night because.
Okay. I just, I've only ever heard the game's name said as CSGO so many times that even though I'm pretty sure Paul actually said the full title of the game earlier, I don't remember it.
Can I give it a shot? Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Yep, that's true.
Also, the only time I ever heard about CSGO, because I don't play those kinds of games in the news, was in relation to things about gambling with the auction sites and whatnot.
Yes!
To the point that because nobody ever said what kind of game it was when they're talking about these articles that I'm briefly looking at, I thought it must be poker.
Yeah?
I thought it was some form of poker.
I mean,
Some sort of thing, because I was just like, well, that makes the most sense, and that's what it is. And I still do that, even though I know better now.
I mean, CS:GO is, is one of the OG and still one of the very most popular esports titles as well.
Yeah.
Especially since it's so old that
Aren't they the guys who are like making
can run on old,
Kick
really old
happen or
systems.
something?
Kick?
There's just another streaming service called Kick or whatever.
Oh,
and
I don't know
like
about that.
Run by.
I think CS:GO is owned by Valve.
Pretty sure it's run by people who are mad about not being able to gamble on Twitch in the same way
I
or
see.
something.
Oh
and
yeah. I mean,
It
there
seems-
definitely have been a couple of like CS:GO skin gambling things.
I have a weird question. Do you think that the take on Counter-Strike 2, where people being like, hey, wait a second, because we're like watching Counter-Strike 2 video and we're like, oh, the trailer looks good. Oh, this looks really neat. Oh, you can do these kind of cool, whatever, the smoke, we were talking about that. But how I think the idea was like there has been some consternation within the Counter-Strike community being like, this looks cool, but we don't want this.
that I mean, it's going to that graphics are not something that they're actually interested in because the sort of ability to work on everything is kind of one of the appeals.
Yeah, we wanted a game that actually is like a game that we've already solved. But I wonder if part of the thing is too, it's like, will all of your purchases in the original in CS:GO, will all your gun skins carry over into CS2? Does that work?
They do.
They do.
I mean,
Okay.
and that's
so that would
actually,
be less of a reason.
Graham mentioned that was there was actually there was a bunch of the CS:GO skin market has been very
Volatile
recently because of this idea is like, will the skins work or not, right? So people are speculating,
Right.
And then Valve did officially announce that all skins will be transferred over.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then there was a big rush because it was like, oh great,
Yeah.
now everything's going to work.
Yeah, because I mean, if none of them would work, and they, I guess, essentially shut down the older game at some point, then they all become worthless. I mean, depending on your definition of worthless, I don't have any value to these myself, but
Now the big thing, the thing that I'm always slightly disappointed in is, how incredibly ugly these skins are.
Yes.
Like even the ones that aren't like for stickers.
Yeah.
Well, most of them are like, sort of weird, color, like fancy color, like camo patterns, or like weird like tiger stripes, but like hot pink and something else.
You
And it's
only
just
put
like these are not.
stickers in alignment like in that way, because really they should just lean into like maybe Lisa Frank.
Oh,
stickers
shit,
or-
yeah.
Yeah, you can
like-
actually get like cool stickers. Yeah.
Unicorns
let's
and
just,
rainbows.
Like, put it all over your
Yeah.
gun in such a way that
Give me a Trapper Keeper
that,
skin.
That aesthetic kind of works.
But it makes me think about like, because some newer games, Valorant and Overwatch and stuff. I think Valorant in particular has had some bonkers gun skins. There's the one that's the gun is transparent.
Yeah.
And it's like a snow globe inside.
Yeah.
There's the one where your gun is like a dragon.
Yeah.
Right? When it's
Yeah,
like
that one was pretty neat.
when those are available, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of makes the CS:GO skins look a little shabby in comparison.
Exactly. Yeah. You're just painting your gun. I have a dragon.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess we'll see if there's any more info about whether the CS:GO market continues to get even worse or better, depending on who you.
What side of the market you're on?
Yeah. And then finally, on the in ChillPoint, they were talking about Destiny 2's way of
Anti-cheating, yeah.
anti-cheating,
Yeah.
anti-hardware cheating with hardware peripherals.
Yes.
And what I thought was interesting about this, obviously, the fact that they have considered and are a large portion of the sort of announcement was explaining how they're taking into consideration accessibility concerns, which is always nice. Because what the thing that's actually interesting about this is they're using a lot of what they're doing in terms of anti-cheating stuff is not like detecting whether the person has a fancy keyboard plugged in.
Right.
It's more using, AI and algorithms and different things like that to evaluate, like,
The
you
method
know,
of play.
yeah, it's like, like if you're in a casino, if you're in a casino and you're cheating,
The people who
or you're
watch
counting
for-
or you're
for
counting
count-
cards
for
or
card
doing
counters. Yeah.
yeah, if you're doing a thing that is giving you an edge, even if it isn't explicitly cheating, like counting cards, you can't get away with that anymore, unless you're doing, you've got to be doing stuff like using multiple people all across the casino and stuff, right? Because they have the systems. They're not even checking to see whether you're cheating,
Right.
but they can check to see whether you are winning at a higher percentage than normal,
Yeah.
and then
what your
check
win
that,
rate
and
is.
then check that, right? So it's like they don't care how you're doing. You could be counting cards, you could be just incredibly lucky, you could have a thing that tells you that special pair of glasses that allows you to X-ray things. They don't actually care. All they need to know is that you are winning at a higher percentage than you should be.
Yeah.
And that information is extremely, precise, and they can be now in a casino they can just be like, go away, because they can get rid of people off their premises for
it's-
whatever reason they want.
It's private properties technically, so they can tell you to leave.
But so in the same way for Bungie, and I think other games do this as well, but they can be like, if somebody shows up and is moving up the tiers of competition in a way that is different than what they expect, that person gets flagged. Then they start looking at what they're doing.
Exactly.
Then they can, look, are they using a assistive device? Are they using it, like they can evaluate all the different aspects of it.
Yeah, because I think what I got from it was that they can tell, like they have access to knowing what the hardware is that's plugged into your thing, but they can't look beyond that.
Right, and also the other thing is that a lot of that information is information that is supplied by the hardware. So if you're in a situation where you're dealing with a adversarial thing, you could have a special cheating thing that reports itself as a regular keyboard.
There's that too. Yeah.
Although if you have a legitimate assistive device, it probably is reporting itself correctly, which is the frustrating part, is that people who are using things for legitimate purposes are probably easier to flag.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. So we had you and I talked about this, and I was caught in the moral quandary. I was caught in the more existential quandary. Let's call it this. Of that.
What if the assistive technology makes people better than?
So you move from being, this is gonna, okay, ride with me on this, please, You move from being physically disabled to being physically augmented. I started with the idea of like people who are double leg amputees,
Right.
but they participate in the Paralympics, and they're blade runners. They have those really awesome looking blades that they run on, and they run races faster on average than people who still have their human legs, right, all the way down to the ground. And so there's that sense of, well, if you have somebody who, let's say, is missing their arms, and they're playing this game, and they have the foot pedals, and they have or they're missing part of their arm or whatever. They maybe don't have hands. I don't know how you want to look at this, but they can't play with their thumbs on a controller. They can't operate a keyboard and mouse for whatever reason, and that could be for multiple reasons. But they have head switches. They have being able to bite down on the straws, like they have all the suck and blow kind of thing. But what if being able to implement all the bits of their body in that way allows them to play at an even higher level? And therefore, you run into that issue of, well, do you just get flagged for cheating? And it's like, you're a cheater. Or does it become more apparent to Bungie that they're like, there are people who don't have thumbs but are playing at a higher level than people who do have thumbs? And that then is more of a thing of like, how do you look into that? How do you investigate that? And then when that happens, do you talk about it? Do you celebrate it? Do you just stay quiet about it? That kind of thing.
I maintain that if there was specifically a disabled person out there who could play Call of Duty or whatever shoot 'em up really well with their altered controllers that allow them to play, that they would be showing that shit off just to show off that is a thing.
That anybody can play this game.
I do not think that is quite the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there's some system that allows them to do stuff better, presumably able-bodied players would start using that system as well.
Yeah. I actually think that'd be really interesting to see that happen.
I mean, there's a thing in Tetris.
Right.
A little while ago, somebody came up with a new way of playing.
Oh, that hyper tapping thing.
A thing. I think this is the next thing,
evolution.
Pass. Well,
Okay.
there's hyper tapping, and then this one was actually like holding it and like hitting the back of the controller.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling
Right.
tapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So like people come up with entirely new ways of playing. And then everyone, copies it and stuff.
like
so,
there are video game competitions that, depending on the video game thing, I've seen this in rules for rhythm games where they give you the team of cards that you're going to be playing with, so that everybody is on the even level. They give you the equipment.
Yeah.
You're not even allowed to use your own headphones. That kind
And
of
so-
thing.
This is the Love Live
And-
style kind of.
Yeah.
and so presumably,
So
Yeah.
but like in other competitive things, it's like you're allowed to choose your own keyboard and mouse and whatever, and so it's going to be based upon those restrictions.
Right.
And in some ways, I'm just like, so if somebody plays better with their controller upside down, are you going to tell them that they can't do that?
I mean, I think that there's obviously a human element in this thing in terms of, there requires some nuance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of that kind of stuff. Like I know in the in the speedrunning community, there's all sorts of stuff. All sorts of not divisions in the community, but they have different leaderboards.
Yeah.
For like
It's categorization.
categorization, right? Where it's like if you beat this using the arcade cabinet versus the other thing, because the arcade cabinet not only might play slightly different, but also it's a different feel. Like even if
Yes.
even if an emulated version is identical, using the identical ROM to the arcade thing, it is still a different category in terms of speedrunning,
Right.
because of all sorts of other reasons.
Yeah. Now, what they're going for, if we assume the idea is like, because if they wanted to just not allow any specialized equipment, they probably could cut that off.
Yep.
But it sounds like the idea isn't that they want to stop people with disabilities from being able to play. But they probably don't want people to have 100% headshots going on, like
Right.
software augmented things that are just basically letting you cheat
Yeah.
as opposed to letting you do anything with any kind of skill.
And I think and obviously there's a balance that needs to be struck, and also of course the rules for an actual, some sort of competitive tournament type thing,
Yeah.
are of course different than it would be if you're for just regular play.
Just online PvP
Um,
or
And I think it's really cool because I think what it led to for me is confronting my own innate ableism. That it's like, do I make an automatic assumption that somebody who lacks thumbs, so they have to play the game in a different way, that they are therefore going to play at a less competitive level or a less elite level, at a lower level than somebody who happens to have thumbs? And because of the way we build our devices, it's like that does not have to be true at all anymore. And I like that it's like that. This is not the first time that I'm confronting my own built-in ableism, but it's like, but that I am now in this position of having to do that, and I'm like, and I bet you that there are teams in Bungie who are like having to encounter that themselves, with talking to their inclusivity teams and stuff, and being like, hey, now we see where the push and pull of this is that how do we balance this so that we don't end up thinking about it solely in terms of what I can do as a person playing the game within the company.
I'd be curious actually if there's any instances of high profile gaming tournaments involved. Like I've definitely seen a number of stories of people with disabilities or with physical challenges competing in local tournaments and stuff. I remember there's a story about a guy who was an amazing like Street Fighter player. With the controller, he had the controller in front of him and he pushed buttons with his tongue.
Interesting.
Pushing on his lip.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Neat.
And he was kicking everybody's butt. And he lied down while he was playing.
Okay.
He had to. Neat. But I'd be curious, like obviously if it was some sort of high level tournament where there's a lot of money on the line, some evaluation would have to be made so that this person is to make sure that everyone is comfortable with whatever the non-standard system this person is using, that it doesn't give them an edge in a way that they can't figure out.
But that also then it takes into account the fact that you can't, as an able-bodied competitor, can't just turn around and be like, no, I don't like that, throw them out. You can't have that kind of thing happen either, because you're like, if they're competing at an elite level, which is the same as your level, they should be allowed in the tournament, despite the fact that their setup might be completely different. And then we have that conversation, that push and pull, and I think that's really valuable.
I would also like to remind, because a lot of your examples for able-bodied or disabled seem to be things like lacking body parts.
Yes.
And I'd like to remind you and others that there are hidden disabilities for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not being able, like, just stuff with your hands, because our hands are actually very complex. So if you could take any kind of damage to your hands, you are already not going to be able to do things. There are a lot of people who are in terrible pain from like bone diseases and things. So I don't just think it's as simple as being like, this person doesn't have thumbs.
Yeah. And I mean, we're already like games that work on both mouse and keyboard and controller are already taking good steps towards that. And obviously there's been lots of great improvements in terms of not just like accessible controllers, but just being able to remap keys and remap buttons and stuff. And I think all of the consoles now have button remapping.
I think everybody's got button reamping now. I don't generally use it a lot, so it's not a thing.
No,
I
mean
look for.
Most people don't, but it's nice when it's there.
Laura K. Buzz does a great series on YouTube called Accessibility. I'd recommend watching if you're really interested in what video games are doing, and how the industry's doing for that stuff.
Yeah.
She's trying to put together an accessibility showcase in like June for like that thing of like what games are coming out and what accessibility features they're doing.
Oh,
and
that's
stuff.
cool. Yeah,
And I think
really
that's
shine a
neat.
light on that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, neat.
And then also I did an incredibly long thing about Bungie exotics.
Oh,
'Cause
right, yeah.
I saw this show up and I was
story that
like,
we're
oh,
actually
they all have
talking
weird
about.
names. I
People-
should look into this.
And people in the comments really appreciated that.
Yeah, you sure
I
did.
really like the fact that, and this was brought up a couple times in the comments as well, that Graham does the Sonic story and
Yeah.
you do the Destiny story, and it's just like a little like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's all opposite day here. And I was sure to apologize to Paul for
Yeah, I
making
guess. Yeah, here you can see the script here. This is the checkpoint script, and you can see B saying, "I apologize, but yeah, each of these capitalized roles Destiny 2 exotic."
Yep.
And we're 16.
Yeah.
And then the coming up was Niantic is doing a Monster Hunter Now
Yeah.
is the name of it.
Which
Yeah,
we
for
thought should be
Capcom.
Monster Hunter Run.
Monster Hunter Run.
I honestly am a little curious to see how that game. It's like all Niantic games, as far as I understand it, use the same map data and stuff. So like,
Yeah.
if they have enough of them going on, you're gonna have like the Pokemon Go people running into the Monster Hunter people, running into the
Somebody's
Ingress
like,
people
I'm
and
gonna
whatnot.
go catch a
Charizard, yeah.
Charizard, and then somebody's just like, giant dragon. It's like, no, that's a Charizard.
Yeah, yeah.
No, there's a giant dragon.
Yeah, and but like Pokemon Go is about catching monsters and doing whatever, and like Monster Hunter is
It's about killing them and taking their claws.
Yeah, and making things
Where-
out of them, and I'm like, so is there
Whereas
a
in
component
Pokemon-
where I get to like make costumes and do things with those? Because that seems kind of interesting.
I mean, to be fair, I've been playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and when you catch Pokemon, you also do get like bits of their you get like animal fur or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You get like Pokemon fur and
Yeah.
tusks or different crafting materials.
And you can kind of be like, well, animals shed, and teeth do fall out on some animals.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad
Yeah.
thing.
And you know
can
what?
But you know what you can't do, Paul? You can't tell me that in Pokemon Go that when you release a Pokemon and you get Pokemon candy that you are not grinding them into candy.
So what you're saying is the two games are not too different, really.
No, they're not really.
Yeah. One game you kill monsters and then you get resources. The other game you catch Pokemon and then grind them into
You
resources.
love them forever unless they're not useful.
What I think is kind of cool about this is that it takes another game that has a very different, I would say combat element maybe is the best way to look at it, right? Because it's like we start with Niantic and or start with Niantic's Ingress. It's because all underling, we know they're all the same game essentially, but you start with Ingress, and Ingress's whole thing is about hacking, and it's about like standing in one place and hacking a place and
Taking territory.
yeah, zone control. Yeah, and it's like the game is built around that, and your combat thing is hack a point so you can control more of that in whatever. I'm going to be very rough about all these. Pokemon Go is about find a monster so you can throw a ball at it, and then you can hopefully capture it and do whatever you have to do to get the thing. But that's very kind of.
Well, there's also like the gyms, which is
Yeah.
sort of like the hacking
Yeah.
points, I guess.
But it's like when you think about comparing Pokemon Go to the original Pokemon, the games are similar but not the same because there's a lot more combat involved. There's a lot of turn-based back and forth going on in Pokemon. And we go on to like when they made the Harry Potter game, and it's like that's going to be whatever the hell
I
that
think
was.
that one failed.
Yes.
Thank God.
It's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and I don't know how they kind of worked all that out, but it seems like the same whatever. But then like Pikmin Bloom is like, well, it's Pikmin following you around and finding stuff and then coming back with hats and furniture and whatever.
And by walking around, you help make giant flowers bloom.
Right.
And I just figured out that you can like tap on the flower and pull down on it and get more nectar that way, which I had no idea before because I haven't really just walk around with it. I don't really play it that much.
And if you compare that to Pikmin the game, it's take your tiny army and beat the shit out of bugs, right? Like it's not the same combat
it's
idea.
true.
And then so now we look at Monster Hunter now versus like Monster Hunter or anything, and it's like, well, in the one game it's fight big monsters on your own with ridiculous weapons and then kill them and carve them up and whatever. I'm like, so what does that mean now is going to be like? Because it's probably not going to be an active real-time combat thing. It's got to be something else.
Well,
but it's not going to be Pokemon Snap. It's not going to be take pictures of dragons, right?
I mean,
I'd love that.
From the trailer,
Where's
it
my
does
Pokemon
look
Snap?
like a fair amount of, and they've said there's going to be some like. I was a little disappointed from just a little bit of the trailer because it looks like there's like a big dragon or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the actual like fighting, you've got like your guy
You're
fighting
not,
a dragon.
It isn't just you doing it; it's your avatar doing it.
And you're like swiping or doing whatever
Yeah.
to so it's sort of like a more sort of it seemed like
Okay.
they say it's a mobile version of the Monster Hunter experience, right?
Right.
So
Done in AR. Okay.
so it might not be so much like I was a little disappointed. Like also I wanted to really see like that thing where like you turn like that'd be sweet if you just like open the app and turn it on and like look and there's just like an eyeball because that's all that can fit in your phone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have to be like,
oh.
oh no.
Yeah.
Like I don't want a little guy.
Yeah.
I want like a giant dragon.
Yeah, like Pokemon Go has some stuff where if you go to the gyms, you are because you have to fight the monster as a group.
Right.
You or the Pokemon as a group. If especially on a higher level, if you want to get anywhere, where you pick a Pokemon and you just tap the screen a lot.
Yeah.
And there's like once a meter has filled up, you can do a special attack or whatever. So I assume that Monster Hunter is basically similar to that, but maybe with like specific swipes and stuff, because it's not going to be able to do quite the 3D element of like running around and not getting hit. Maybe it's got a dodge button.
So,
I assume there's going to be like a friend component to it. I mean, as far as from what I understand from most people, Monster Hunter, the basic game, not stories, because that's kind of its own thing, is much more fun of an experience if you have friends to get online and play with and like hunt the big monsters and that kind of thing than it is as a solo campaign.
And obviously, getting people together out and playing is kind of Niantic's thing.
It is the thing they kind of focus on.
I am surprised that what we haven't seen yet from Niantic is Fatal Frame.
Oh, that'd be...
It's kind of perfect.
Right?
I kind of...
Conflicted.
It's kind of perfect.
Well, I don't
you
know.
got your phone cameras.
Like, I think a AR Fatal Frame game would be great.
It's called Spirit Camera.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it does exist already.
Yeah, on the 3DS, Spirit Camera.
I don't know if the style of a Niantic game is really right for it. Because, like, I don't know, like, you don't want to be like...
Look...
There's murderous
So,
ghosts in every
I
part of your
believe,
neighborhood.
collecting murderous ghosts, I guess.
I think it was what, you and Alex?
We did?
Yeah, Beej and Alex played Spirit Camera in, I think, Mark III.
Yep.
So the VOD should be on there somewhere.
Or Mark IV. Mark III. Yeah.
And I love the concept of the game. The whole reason I never wanted to play it, or I was like really excited that they were going to play it, was because they would put those ghosts in the moon base and not in my house.
Yep.
I do not need to find out there are ghosts in my house, Paul.
Yeah.
That's
I
fair.
know they're there, but I don't need to see them or know that they're there.
And so if you were walking on a route at like 9 o'clock at night to come home from the moon base, and you're like, I'm going to play some Fatal Frame, and you realize there's just thousands
I'm just never going to play the game because I'm just going to be like, I need to not know these are around my house.
That's fair.
It's why I get into Japanese folklore. All those ghosts exist in Japan and not here.
Yep.
And then it's terrifying when I go to Japan. It's very easy to live in my world.
Just don't go to Japan.
Or be very scared when you go.
Also, for those who don't know, Spirit Camera literally has a story mode called Fatal Frame. It was made by the same developers.
It's made by the same developers.
They just didn't market it that way over here, which was a big mistake, I think, but whatever.
We got it for a good price in the discount bin, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Doop-a-doop-boo-boo. All right, let's talk about a couple stories that we didn't talk about during the stream.
Sure.
This one, sort of only peripherally video game related because it's about the Pokemon card game.
Okay.
But we've talked about the Pokemon card game before.
Yeah.
And in this case, there was a big there's a big scandal in the Pokemon TCG community because a whole bunch of extremely rare cards went up for sale. So, or somebody attempted to sell their a collection of extremely rare cards
Okay.
to a store.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not weird yet.
So they were, but there were so many of them, and they were all from the same set. Like there were just like a ton of copies of this really rare card,
that starts
and
to
a
get
bunch
weird.
of copies of this particular rare card, all from a recent set.
Okay.
So to the extent that you would have had to have opened like thousands and thousands and thousands of packs,
Right.
because the chances of these particular cards showing up was so small.
Yeah, or else you would have had to have been going around and buying them up like 20 years ago or something and kind of making your...
But that's the thing, is that this is actually from a relatively recent set. So
Oh,
it's not
never
even
mind.
like
Okay.
somebody was sitting on them for a long time.
Right, okay.
So
Naturally assume counterfeits.
well, you assume some sort of bad
Or
stuff is going on.
stolen.
Sure.
Some
or,
sort of malfeasance is happening.
No, there's ways.
So they're talking about like there's like hundreds of these cards, like thing that has like a median price of like $150.
Wow.
So anyway, the person who so Trading Card World is the the place that they tried to sell to,
Okay.
contacted Game Freaks and was like, hey, this is probably squirrely. And Game Freaks was, or the Pokemon company
Yeah.
was like, yes, we know who this is.
Oh no.
So apparently a bunch of stuff had gone missing in the print run.
I see.
And so they actually got the company to pull the to say, yay, yeah, we'll buy all those cards, send them down, and they sent them, and they like sent a whatever company detective or a loss prevention officer down to investigate it, and so they basically knew who it was.
All right.
Stuff. So, but what was interesting is there were so many of these really valuable cards in this thing, and then this revelation that they were taken actually from the print thing. The additional wrinkle to this is people are like, wait,
That means that...
does this mean that the percentages in the packs are wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, it probably does.
Yes.
And apparently it was rectified
Okay.
before packs were made. So, at least according to the Pokemon Company, that is not that isn't an issue. Then again, if it was an issue, they probably wouldn't say that it was.
Right.
I mean, if they knew a bunch of product had gone missing and they had the suspicion of who it was, I could believe that they would rectify that while they're trying to figure out that
Yeah.
situation. That just means that any of those cards that they recovered from that probably were destroyed. It's just the idea of like, hey, there's something suspicious about this. Oh, we know who that is. And like, don't ever let them know your name.
Yeah.
They've learned your name.
And
Wow.
apparently, there's a statement from the Pokemon Company released on Wednesday. Say, we take the protection of our IP and associated products very seriously. This matter remains under investigation. We cannot comment on details at this time. However, we can confirm that Sword and Shield booster packs, which is what are these from, and products were shipped to retail as intended, and we have no indication that the integrity of the products were impacted by any confirmed or unconfirmed theft. Furthermore, we continue to significantly invest in both the production and security of our TCG business. We value the faith in our fans put in us and our products. These investments are intended to help us continue to maintain their trust.
So I'm seeing a couple quotes in chat, which are interesting. Is that anecdotal claims in the Fusion Strike expansion, Fusion Strike expansion I think would be part of the Sword and Shield set. I'm going to make this assumption these are connected.
They may. I don't quite know how the whole system works.
But long suffered from anecdotal claims of brutally low pull rates was the quote I saw go by. And then I see another quote that says that Pokemon offers no written guarantees of what cards or layouts are in the pack. Only says that each pack contains 10 cards and 1 energy. Thank you, Julia Mon and the Maricat. So it's like everything the Pokemon Company has said there is completely on board, right? For them to say, like, look, the integrity of the packs was not altered in any way. It's like, sure, every pack contained 10 cards and an energy.
Yeah.
And if there's this expectation that, well, every pack is supposed to contain a certain number of commons, a certain number of uncommons, and then a rare, perhaps a rare or a mythic rare, or maybe not, and then a land, Magic the Gathering style, right? It's like, well, you could... How do you make that claim as well?
For one thing, Magic has those categories.
Yeah.
I don't think Pokemon does in the same way.
Right.
Where they label them like that. They're just monster cards, and some of them get printed less.
Right, because some of them are probably more powerful or not, and
Whereas, but in the same vein. Most booster packs for Magic say things like contains like a rare or whatever, and that's not untrue.
And we know from looking at printed sheets of Magic cards, for example, that we could get a sheet that is all commons, a sheet that is all uncommons, and that is because of you want to have those types of divisions. You want to say we need to print more of this sheet than of this sheet, and we chop everything up. And I have no idea how in the factory they actually divide that stuff up to be like, well, now all the rares have been cut and they're all sitting in the stack, and so we have pickers that go ahead, we have a machine that goes ahead and deals off 10 of this card and 3 of this card and 1 of these cards.
In my understanding too is in the past that Pokemon as a company has actually reprinted cards and flooded the market with things when they know.
Yeah,
it's true.
Like
they don't care about the secondary market.
They don't.
Yeah,
they don't want that to be a thing in the same way.
That is an interesting aspect of the Pokemon that, like, they've talked about. There was a story a little while ago that, like, over the last couple of years, like during COVID, they printed more Pokemon cards than all the other stuff combined.
Yeah,
like they, because, the Pokemon card game it's not a loss leader, but it's not. It's more of a. What do you call it? Halo product, a constellation. Like, it's more of a It is a product designed to get people excited in Pokemon, so that they buy the video game.
Yeah,
as opposed
or the
to
merchandise,
or the merchandise, or just the whole
world,
the whole sort of infrastructure.
They want their stuff to be more about playing and enjoying it rather than
investing in it.
Collecting and investing.
And so the value of the cards to them, to the Pokemon Company, is that they are disseminated as much as possible.
Yeah.
So, and they do have like fancy foily rares and stuff to make people like, but as opposed to something like Magic, where the card game itself is the moneymaker.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, the Pokemon card game is sort of marketing for the rest of the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Right.
Even the
universe,
anime, especially the original anime, when they have a lot of conversation about like what level Pokemon actually evolve at, and things that they stopped doing so much. But if you look at when Pokemon came out as a video game and what the anime was doing, the anime was kind of hinting at how to play the game in a strange animated tutorial sense. And Pokemon, especially once it got off the ground as being super popular, has been much more about merchandising and bringing you in the same way that like being involved in like the world of Disney or whatever.
Yeah, we want you to enjoy the intellectual property. We don't care how.
And so it makes it so that the profit motive is a little different than something like Magic or other games where they have to extract as much money as possible.
Yeah.
Or chances
are they're not losing money on it, but they're
I don't imagine
their
they're-
end goal is not
yeah.
make the most money off of that thing necessarily.
And so-
it's make them it's not supposed to be a collectible, really.
So there's a level of QC then that goes on when I would assume when I'm making a lot of assumptions here, there's a level of quality control going on in the plant when they're printing cards and checking to be like, that's weird. We're missing like 8 sheets of a certain thing we ran off. Maybe they got munged up or whatever, and so they got destroyed or something else like that. So just run off another 8 to 10 or 15 sheets of this stuff and chop them up, and then we'll get them into everybody's packs. And nobody thinks about Gary at the plant who was seen running out with a very suspicious giant poster tube full of
I mean, given that they seem to know who this person already was, chances are good they record when stuff has to get destroyed.
Yeah.
Usually at that level, you have to have records of all these things.
And I bet you and there's probably something associated where it's like, we can't really say we suspect you did this thing and investigate or do whatever, but they're like, hold on to all of this and just kind of we'll see what happens, like maybe. And then at this point they're like, I see it has finally surfaced. The cards are going to get sold. Mm-hmm. That's the part that we have a problem with.
I mean, that's how store detective loss prevention stuff works. When they have that person who walks around the store to watch, they literally just watch until the thing happens, because if you intervene before that,
you have to wait until somebody tries to leave the store with the thing. And in this case, they're like, we have to wait until he tries to sell the cards or something.
I mean,
that he can prove it.
I mean, the weird thing about, Pokemon, Magic is even more so, but Pokemon as well, is that it's like, the cost to the Pokemon company or to Wizards or to Hasbro to print off 10 more sheets of a given mythic rare card.
Yes.
Is really cheap.
Yeah.
In comparison to the theoretical value of what that card is on the open market.
Yeah, it's true.
And so it's an odd situation where, like, when they're in the printing process, everything's dirt cheap.
Yes.
And, like, if a couple of sheets go missing, it's probably not even that big a concern.
Yeah.
But once they've been cut up and put into packs, now suddenly it's a big deal that if the the rarities aren't correct and stuff.
Yeah, and not even thinking of monetary value, but just perceived value of, I buy this pack, it might have a mythic in it that's powerful and lets me win more games or something. Interesting thing about this, because we are all saying, of course, the point of the Pokemon TCG is, as much as anything else, is to get you involved in the Pokemon universe. And so reprinting a bunch of cards to let people get into the TCG cheaply and easily and let you play and have a good time with your friends. Even if some cards are more powerful than others, it's like, that's the thing that Pokemon definitely wants to do. Something, and this is maybe a shitty thing to start with, so warn everybody right off the bat, but one thing that the Pokemon Company does not do is just keep marking the checklist, everybody, because here comes more of them. Something the Pokemon Company does not do is try to reissue the old video games in a way that makes them cheaply available for people to buy.
Well, no, I mean, kind of.
We don't have.
they remake.
We don't have the Pokemon games on NSO yet.
Well, no, but before the 3DS eShop shut down, you could get Red and Blue and
Yellow.
Crystal and Yellow and Silver and Gold. They do the remakes every so often. It's not. Yes, in a vein, it's not like they're super easy to get, but they're not super uneasy.
It's not like they're unavailable.
Because when I think about stuff like, they don't care about bringing back their video games, I think about things like how Paper Mario never gets really brought back.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, or hasn't been in the past. I think that's on NSO now, but other games that have just kind of really shifted where Pokemon is not quite that.
Yeah.
And like the Pokemon games don't really have that, like, scarcity.
And but you can sell a copy of Pokemon Blue for the Game Boy online for way more than you would have bought it for, even adjusting for inflation or whatever.
Right.
There is that thing of, like, if I want to buy the physical copy, but that's also because making a physical copy of a game costs a lot more money than running off one more sheet of Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, it's also because of the weird Pokemon competitive nature, where there are certain games where if you can get a Pokemon, it has a move that you can still have if you trade it up, but you can't get it in other games, or certain things can happen.
So
and
you
those
need
are
to
really,
have the blue version
those are
or the
really
red version
weird
to kind of move them up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Have they ever done like blind box Pokemon games. Like you get Pokemon, but you don't know whether you get red or blue or yellow.
No, I don't think they
No, I
ever have
don't
done
think
that.
so.
No.
It seems like a cool thing they could do. I mean, probably.
You say that, and I
Yeah.
feel like there'd be an outcry.
Probably.
But also, you make a good point too. It's like competitively, and the Pokemon video game is not sanctioned competitively by the Pokemon Company. They do not have competitive tournaments. Like the Pokemon Company does not manage competitive tournaments or say,
I think they do.
do they?
Yeah.
Then that is an interesting idea of the
But
relative
that's
scarcity
part
of a
of
product.
part of the tournament rules are generally like there's certain Pokemon you can't bring in, and
That's true.
Okay,
usually
fair.
their tournaments are based more on whatever the current game is. So
Right.
you're looking at the current Pokedex
Fair. Okay.
and that kind of thing.
Just thought it was interesting that that is an argument people would make, but it's nice to see the counter arguments to that
There's
too.
the people who want to play the older Pokemon games are generally people who played the older Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Usually when you want to play a Pokemon game, you want to buy maybe one of the newer ones anyway because it's already got it's Pokemon but more.
Yeah, why not?
You
if
know, like the first Pokemon game didn't have eggs
Yeah.
and a bunch of other things that makes it feel weird now.
And maybe rather than buying red or blue, you buy fire red or leaf green, and you're like, good, I got a functional upgrade to this
Yeah,
game.
and Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu is
The same
red
thing.
and blue.
Yeah. So you can just literally play
it's
those
just
Yes.
an
games if you want
updated
to.
version
Yeah.
of the game. So I don't know. It's just to me, it's not quite the same. Like I agree, it's like Pokemon Blue and Red, maybe harder to get. Probably not. Usually you can find carts, and I think even at our local game store they're about $60 or $70,
Which is
I mean,
a lot of money.
It's not great, but
Yeah.
It depends on whether the like the collectible value of one of those Pokemon games is the physical
Yes,
thing.
it's the token.
not
yeah.
the game itself.
Correct.
Which is a little different from a card game or something.
Yep, that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, I talked about it before, but I think it would be neat with current technology. Now, it would be easy to do with current technology to, like, instead of having, violet and scarlet and red and blue and, have it's like, whatever, there's 15 or 20 Pokemon that are in one and not in the other.
Yeah.
Have it just, you buy one and the first time you put it in, there's a key, there's like a random number.
Yeah.
And so of the 250 Pokemon that are in the thing, like
4 are missing.
like there's a certain number that are missing,
Yeah.
and everyone has and so it's not red and blue, it's just random.
Yep.
that is what they originally wanted to do, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They,
like
they could have done
like
that, but now they
everybody's
now they
game
could do
was
that.
supposed to be completely different, not like just red or blue. And I think initially when they tried to cut it down, they had cut it down to like 16, and then like
Yeah.
5 or something or 7, and then they were like, okay, 2.
Yeah, because they were really taking a chance. They were saying, we don't know how well this is going to sell.
Yeah,
so we'll sell two
and if
different
that
versions.
had been a thing they could have done at the time, and it had popped off then, maybe that's the thing they would have gone forward with. But Pokemon's very, even though they keep doing different things, it's very formulaic.
Yeah, people and
in what
people
they-
get very
yeah. Which
protective.
It's funny because I think Pokemon Legends is a way better game.
Boop, 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 boop. Sega just bought Angry Birds. Well, they bought Rovio.
Who has all the Angry Birds?
Yeah,
That's
it's quite
true.
the thing.
Yeah, Sega Sammy, which I keep forgetting is the company that owns
Sega.
It is the parent company of Sega and Sammy.
Yeah. It also includes Atlas, let's not forget.
Yeah.
They're part of that as well.
Atlas and a few
Seven-
others.
$772 million.
There's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Money that you didn't think Sega had.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where, like, and it's just, I think it's just my, not paying that close attention, but, like, after the Dreamcast went down, there was this idea that Sega was kind of,
Circling the bowl.
well, they were kind of limping along, and, like, they decided to become software only.
Yep.
And they were doing fine.
Yep.
But they were just sort of another software company, and they weren't that big anymore. And so the idea that they can put out $772 million, and this isn't like a merger or something, they're just buying them.
Yeah, $750 million, and they said, we just need Angry Birds.
They make my Hatsune Miku games.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it is one of those, they own Atlas, and so that they probably have gotten a.
Persona's probably done a lot for them.
Yeah, being on the ground floor on the Persona series is probably,
I wouldn't say ground floor. They got in for Persona 5, which is definitely
but that's what I mean. Like they got in at the right time. Like the Persona series was like popular in a certain niche. And then Persona 5 came out and got like ridiculously popular.
Yeah, which is funny because Persona fans will argue that Persona 3 is the one that got out and got ridiculously
Persona,
popular. But let's
Persona
be fair,
3 is where
5
the Persona,
exploded.
where the Persona name was kind of like its own thing,
Yeah.
as opposed to the offshoot of Shin Megami Tensei. But then Persona 4 was where it got more popular because it started doing a lot more anime-related
Yeah.
things that was a little bit more school-related and things people liked. And then Persona 5 is where it really took off.
Yeah.
It
invented jazz.
I hate that.
I love that meme
so
so much.
The weird thing is, like, just because of, I think it's just because of like relative news coverage.
Yes.
Is that like, because Rovio, not only making Angry Birds, they've got the movies. There's the Angry Bird movies, which I believe are fairly successful. They're not bad movies in the sort of kids movie era. They were at one point opening like a Angry Birds theme park.
What?
That's fun. All right.
I remember we did a story
Is
about it
this-
on Checkpoint.
Okay.
I don't know if I don't think it's open anymore.
No, I have to ask, is the idea that you just have kids come in
And
and
knock
throw
stuff
what is
down.
essentially rocks at walls? Because that is a cheap theme park.
This is an adventure playground.
Yeah. I think it was a little bit like the Disney or the like Nintendo World thing. Like it was just sort of like a themed.
Yeah, you're in the world
Play
of
area,
Angry
yeah.
Birds. Yeah.
But like, they don't make that many games. I mean, there's all sorts of different Angry Birds games, and there's like a few other games that they published. But they don't make that many games. But still, in my perception, Rovio feels like a bigger company than Sega, which is why this kind of threw me
Oh,
off.
wow.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's just 'cause, they're doing the movies, they're doing all this stuff, but of course Sega has movies now too, and they've got TV shows. There's Sonic TV shows and all
There's
this kind of
Sonic
stuff.
movies.
Yeah, and it's just, it's just like Rovio is like new and got a lot of publicity and stuff, and I mean Sega,
It was the hot thing.
Can I remind you that Sega was so bold as to kill Sonic
Yes.
in at least one game
It's true.
I was gonna say, when did they do that?
for April 1st,
The murder of Sonic the Hedgehog.
which apparently
yeah.
is quite a good game. I haven't gotten around to playing it. Also not made by the Sonic team, but still published by Sega. So,
Yeah.
Oh yes, Angry Birds mini games in Yakuza. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I guess they could.
So anyway,
I don't want any Angry Birds outfits in my Hatsune Miku game, but maybe I do.
Maybe you do.
Maybe I do for the terror of stream, but not for myself.
just have like shoot Sonic out of a catapult.
Oh yeah, he's a ball already. You're right. Oh my God.
That works. Yeah.
Sonic's already in frickin' Rogue Legacy. Jesus Christ. We've been playing
There's a
Rogue
really-
Legacy a lot, and there's a curse you can get called the Hedgehog's
the
Curse.
Hedgehog's Curse is the worst.
Whenever you get hit, your gold goes everywhere. And the part of that game is you're
Oh, I
trying to
see.
make as much gold as you
Right,
can, so
right.
your gold just flies out.
everywhere. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
There's a really cute outfit for Hatsune Miku. It's basically a Sonic the Hedgehog hoodie, and it's got like a gold ring zipper
Yeah.
and stuff. And I like it because you can make the spikes on the back of it go through so many things.
It's a very it is weird. Like as I said during the thing, it's like it always surprises me when I go look at the Wikipedia page and again realize that's right. Sega merging with Sammy was a great thing for the both of them, I'm sure. And the fact that Sega ends up being that much money and that they've continued to be successful, and just the one thing in the back of my head where I'm like, because somebody said, okay, so there's not really a chance that Sega's ever going to get acquired by Nintendo. I'm like, that was never going to happen. I would have 100% signed off on the fact they were never going to acquire, that Nintendo would never acquire Sega, and that's fine. But also, there's this thing in the back of my head where I'm like, does Sega just, at one point, just really be... Does Sega go out one night, get really drunk, and say, screw it, we're making another console? Does it happen? And I don't know. It would be the weirdest thing to all of a sudden have them be like, "Hey, by the way, we're making a new console," and because people would lose their minds over that.
I can see them making a like competitive modern console.
Yeah.
I could see them maybe trying to do something like the Tommy Tallarico's Amico thing.
Yes.
Like
Well,
trying to make
they've
like
already
kind of a
done-
retro. I mean, they've
done the Genesis.
They've done the
Mini
little,
thing,
but an
plug
actual
and
thing that
play.
people could make
Yeah.
games for, like cool, like kind of a cool retro console. I could see them doing. I don't think like they would the kind of money that you need to be competitive in the like actual like top end console market right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they have.
Sorry, I Dream of Your Cast is
Yeah.
a really funny name. Also, Foxmire's telling me about things of Miku mods and Sonic Mania, and I just I've got burnt by the last Sonic game I played.
I think it would be wild if they. I don't necessarily want to see it because I don't want to have to like. It's weird. Ever since Sega lost in the console wars, I've been pretty conciliatory towards them. At the time, I was rabid about that. Like they have to lose. They have to go away. I want Nintendo to be on top.
It's easy to be magnanimous when you're winning.
Exactly.
I had a Sega Genesis, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Oh, Sonic and Knuckles was so cool with the flip top. Rise Star was amazing. Comic Zone, which I noticed I can play on my NSO thing again, and I'm
Yep.
kind of tempted to, was really cool.
Everyone tells me Gunstar Heroes was really good.
Bubsy's a bad game, but I still liked it and played it.
Bubsy
Yep.
was on all the consoles though. It's made by Accolade, so
Yeah, I still played it.
that is a story.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I should put it down,
It's fine.
but yeah, Bubsy it got bought by somebody, and they're gonna try to bring it back or something.
Yeah, Bubsy and Hardball.
100
Oh no!
a bunch
Oh
of
no!
PC title games or something.
Yeah.
Is what I remember the thing saying.
And
Sonic's been
some
bought.
sort of demolition something or other, demolition derby I think it was. But yeah, the brands were the Accolade and the Microprose brands were bought by a company who is big that I am not happy about the fact that they bought it. And if anyone in chat remembers who it was, I'd love to hear about it. Because Christ, I gotta
You
look
just
it up
remember
now.
that you were unhappy.
I was
You
like,
don't remember
hey,
what it was?
where does the Loading Ready Run theme come
Right.
from? Oh no!
Right, friggin' Atari.
Atari bought them. Right.
Right, that's why we can't
It's
remember.
like, wait, what? Who's Atari? What? How? What?
And I was just like, Atari now owns owns Hardball, which means they might own all the rights to the Hardball 3 stuff. And I'm pretty sure the Loading Ready Run theme came out of Hardball 3. And I'm like, Christ, does that mean we can
Sporting
ask
News Baseball.
Sporting News Baseball? Thank God. Okay. Oh, we still don't know who owns that at this point. Probably the Embracer Group.
Probably. Or Tencent.
Yeah.
Dark and Darker
Comes the night. What? Wait,
is
what?
is a game that
Oh, it's a
came out for playtesting in 2022
All right.
in early access, which it got a lot of very good buzz. I remember Serge talking about really enjoying playing it. It's it's a
so
yeah,
it's
players.
A,
It's a
it's a Civ game then, right? You said Serge was talking about it. He only, as far as I know, plays spreadsheet games.
Is everything cubes? Everything's cubes, right?
no. I think it's a like a it's like a looter shooter, but it's like Tarkov, but in medieval times.
No, I can't imagine that he'd play
As
that.
barbarians and mages and things. Anyway, it has been gone from the Steam for a while, and there's been this bizarre legal stuff. Nexon is the publisher for it. And Iron Mace is the developer. And there seems to be some miscommunication.
Oh, good.
Just some differences of opinion, shall we say, about who owns which IPs. And basically, the Nexon's thing is Nexon was developing a game that they say was very similar to Dark and Darker.
Okay.
And then a bunch of people left Nexon and formed Iron Mace Games and
made a game
made a game called Dark and Darker that Nexon says is very similar to this game that they had been working on when they were working for them.
Okay. Oh, and it's named P3. I'm guessing that's either the project title or something.
Yeah, that was the
So
working
this is a
title.
lot like the PUBG Fortnite thing.
Interesting. Okay.
I guess, yeah, sort of. But we're not talking about like PUBG and Fortnite have similar game mechanics. We're talking about that these are like, substantially the same game.
Yeah.
In the sense of, showing screenshots of the two games and stuff.
Okay.
And when they all left, I'm guessing Nexon shelved the game after they left. Not, we're shelving the game now. And all these people said, but we were working on this great game, so let's leave and form our own studio. Because it's like, I just want to know who I'm supposed to root for. Which is, but I would assume the smaller studio, you always want to root for the smaller studio, but at the same time it's like,
not always.
Well, what's the chain of events here? Did Nexon say, actually we're canceling the project or we want to shelve it for a while or whatever, and they said, screw it, we're leaving and we're starting and we're making our own game?
Who's the good guy? Who am I
Yeah.
supposed to be happy for and angry at?
Sometimes these things happen and both people are the bad guys.
Are they both the bad guys?
Well, I mean, it's a little hard to tell. Depends on who you believe.
Okay.
That being said, Nexon does not have a good history in these things.
Alrighty.
Although it does seem that it's possible that
They make MapleStory. Okay.
Well, publish anyway.
Publish. Fair enough.
So yes. So this idea that like Nexon was working on this P3 game, canceled it, and then the people left and were like, well, we like that game, we'll just make it ourselves.
Right.
But they're now apparently a lot of the accusations that they're using the same assets are because both games were using the built-in Unreal Engine assets.
You stole the assets.
Which is not
from the store.
It's that like Apple Loops thing where it's like, hey, we have copyright on those Apple Loops. It's like, no, you don't. Those are Apple Loops.
All right. I'm going to not root for either of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also probably not even going to remember this story in another day. Possibly even in an hour.
Oh. A part of the story, I guess, is that apparently the previous workers for Nexon signed a non-compete clause saying they wouldn't be allowed to make something in that vein for a year or something to that effect. However that works out. I'm loving the story. This is a tangential thing, but I'm loving recently we've seen a lot of arguments in the American legal system now about whether non-compete and whether a non-compete agreement is something you can actually legally enforce. Because if somebody is working for you and then you say you cannot work for any of our competitors or anybody else in the industry, or you can't even do your job now at anywhere else that isn't us for up to a year, that it's like you can't just tell somebody that it's like, hey, you can no longer work for a year. You have to go get a job slinging burgers or whatever. Unless your job was slinging burgers and you got to like tacos, I guess. But
yeah, if you get a non-compete for slinging burgers at another joint, you must have been really good at it.
Must have been awesome, yeah.
Apparently, and the other part of the of Nexon's claim, which makes the thing a little murkier in terms of good guys and bad guys, is that what's his name? Ju-Hwan Choi, who's the lead developer at Iron Mace. He's one of the developers at Iron Mace.
Okay.
and former Nexon, and was at Nexon he was the director of the P3 project.
Oh.
There's Nexon alleges that he like not only left but also like trashed the P3 servers.
Oh, the spiteful leave.
Oh my goodness.
I've
So
done a
that there
couple of
wasn't
those.
so that Nexon doesn't have the stuff to do the comparison.
Wow.
So
We'll have to see how true any of that is. Okay.
yeah.
That's
So yeah.
kind of amazing.
Anyway, we'll see.
All right.
Boopity boop boop. Speaking of Sonic, which we were at one point,
Oh yeah, there was some other Sonic stuff.
new Sonic Lego sets.
Yeah.
Oh, they got the little airplane.
So it's based on the one where Tails flies a plane.
Tails is the best.
Check
Bar
this
none.
out. Wait, go big.
It's a child playing with Sonic, but much slower than normal.
Like these are pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a lot of detail.
Check out the crab.
Yeah, Crab's good.
He's so angry.
Well, Sega did just buy Angry Crabs.
It's true.
I'm pretty sure the Angry Crab game is made by a completely different studio.
Aggro Crab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's okay. So the other one is there's the Sonic Speed Sphere.
This is basically
It's like-
it's Monkey Ball.
It's like a hamster ball you put him in that I guess is emulating him doing the charge up.
Okay, so you can fire
It's like
him
they're doing the
through-
spin dash, and then you can like pow and fire him, and he can go up,
Yeah, that seems fun.
That's kind of fun.
go up hills and stuff. And there's
Launch him into the fish tank.
yeah, there's actually like the green zone loop challenge.
Well, you'd have to have the green zone. Like you can't.
So you go like
I
you can
think
go
it's
woo and then
illegal
go
to
through
make anything
here,
Sonic related, not have a green
and then
zone.
Robotnik is at the end.
So is the idea that you're hoping to like launch, put him in the ball, launch him onto the loop. God willing, he somehow goes through the loop and doesn't fly off in another direction.
So
Get the ramp
basically-
through the ring. Yeah.
From what I get, either how you play this is you set it up, and then you have your little brother over at the end of the that you say, "Hey, watch this."
Yeah. Get down there and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. There's no rails on that loop, so I do wonder if the ball's going to stay on it, but
Well, we have to do a science then.
I guess we have to do a
We
science.
have to do a science.
$100,
It's an expensive science.
which is, I mean, for big cool Lego sets, it's not actually that bad. But
I guess if you aim it at just a couple degrees off, it'll actually want to go in the direction.
yeah, it looks like there's a little lip on it.
Okay.
Anyway, I like cool Lego sets, even if they're not
Yeah.
like that video game related.
Oh, I mean, you've seen the one for Lord of the Rings, right?
Oh yeah, that
Like
one.
it's very
That one's
amazing.
ridiculous.
I don't know where the heck anyone ever puts that
Yeah.
forever. but
1,600 single dot pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that one's just basically like a like a dollhouse or something. Like it's just. Anyway, I think
Look, we're gonna be my wallet is gonna be in ruins if they ever make Zelda Lego. They're never gonna do it, and so I'm safe for now.
ooh, the Mandrew says I just finished Rivendell. It's amazing.
Ah, wow.
Now, I think that's all the news that I had March. There was the Nintendo Direct indie thing,
Yes, Indie World. They did
Indie World
another-
Direct. Was there anything interesting that came out of that?
Well, Mineko's Night Market finally has a date in like September, so I'm happy about that.
And they had Pride of Place as being the first thing that got talked about, which is kind of sweet.
I've been waiting for that game for actual years.
Yeah, like Tunic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
came out, and now this is coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly sequels and DLC, by and large. So like Oxenfree 2 and
Well, they had a whole
Testigrad
DLC
2 and
Section
Blasphemous
2,
2.
like
Shovel Knight's getting DLC.
Cult of the Lamb's getting some stuff.
Wait,
yeah.
Shovel Knight is getting.
for the puzzle.
for the
Oh,
pocket
the-
puzzle
Yeah.
game thing.
The extra thing.
Yeah.
I was like, Shovel Knight is getting more stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Blasphemous 2.
Don't you
being
have
announced
enough?
Was pretty neat.
Yeah. A little to the left is getting DLC called Cupboards and Drawers. We know what Rift of the Necrodancer was. We got to see gameplay, and they
Yeah.
showed that off, which looked really cool.
I'm looking forward to that one.
That's like Necrodancer, but like it's gonna be like future Necrodancer.
So
Kinda seems like it, but-
Crypt of the Necrodancer is doing Rift of the Necrodancer, which
A very
is a different type of gameplay rhythm game, but it also looks like there's some kind of like the way they talked about how your character can take like brief respites and stuff made
Yeah.
it sound like the little scenes where you see a character doing yoga or whatever still in time might be slightly different from the main gameplay.
right.
But they've shown off several different things. One kind of looks like Punch Out. One kind of looks like it has a very kind of rhythm heaven feel in some respects.
Oh yeah, the rhythm
which
heaven
is-
parts are really neat.
Yeah, which is why I'm pretty excited for it.
And there's the main gameplay appears to be rail based. You know, pick a lane. And then attack the thing that hits you in the lane, Guitar Hero wise, you know, like that kind of idea. But then there are just sometimes when it's like 3 things are coming down at the exact same time, and you'll have to hit all 3 buttons at the same time, and that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah.
It's it looked really neat. What else was in the thing that was exciting?
You seemed pretty excited about Tesla Grad.
I was interested the fact that they did a graphical upgrade essentially to what is in the first one, and then they did Tesla Grad remastered in the style of Tesla Grad 2.
Yeah.
So those are out, and I'm like, well, that's cool. Blasphemous 2, of course, being another like Metroidvania style hack and slash thing that's getting a thing. Was there? I don't remember there was much else.
I mean,
where it was like
I only really had the 2 things that had my interest.
Bomb
but-
Rush Cyberpunk,
Oh, right.
which
that was
is
in the montage. bit.
Jet Set Radio.
I don't know who came up with that name, but that is like you don't even have to know anything about the game.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, so it's a Jet Set Radio, like
Yeah, it just kind of feels like it should be Jet Set
Bomb
Radio.
Rush Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, they've chosen some good
beautiful
words.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were several things in there.
It also looks like a good game. It looks like a neat game.
Oh yeah.
But with a great name.
I can't remember what else was in the indie world though.
Yeah, like there were a couple things that I'm like, again, you know, Minico's Night Market, Rift of the Necrodancer, that I'm probably going to definitely play. And then I feel like just a bunch of other things that I kind of found interesting, but will probably be more interested when they
Yeah.
have dates or when they get closer to release.
They kind of had a little segment of like here's some splashes of other stuff like Paper Trail and that kind of stuff. It's like here's a few other games that are coming out in will be coming out eventually. We don't want to talk about them too much. We just want to show them off. And then a lot of like the where the international people sit down and talk to you in Swedish or Chinese, and they tell you about the game that they're making, and you're like, oh, that was fun. And you
What
get
was
to
the
see
game that there was the dude who was talking, and there was the other guy who was like walking around in the river. behind
Donkey
him?
was walking around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Donkey was there.
Yeah, Donkey introduced the whole thing, and I'm like, I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because he's backing the game. I don't really get it.
I don't
Animal
remember what
Well,
game that
that's
was.
it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. We call it Donkey's game. I have no idea if that was his idea or not, or if he's just
I think
backing it
he's.
because
I
this
know.
guy.
I think
yeah.
he's helping in some way or
Yeah, the
something,
dude making
but
it wanted to make the game, and so he thought he would back it. Maybe I don't really know. Anyway, that was it was a cool thing, 20 minutes long, and you got to see a lot of stuff as a
yeah.
result.
And the Silk Song game's still not out yet.
Yeah.
It's never coming out. It's not allowed to come out at this point until at least June.
They're playing it at Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
They've got it. They just won't let it out.
It'll have to show up in the next direct.
Look, I can't. Tears of the Kingdom is like 2 weeks away.
Yes.
Silk Song can't come out now,
Yeah.
and that's
And that's final.
that's it. It cannot come out until June.
Can't interfere with Zelda.
I cannot be forced to make a choice. I will not be forced to make a choice.
It's a real Heather's choice.
Silk Song's out today, and it's now a card game.
I'd kind of be okay with that, maybe.
All right, fair.
I'm not as anti-card game as you are.
I don't know. Maybe Team Cherry will be like, we're almost done. But in the meantime, we decided to make this Hollow Knight themed puzzle game, and we'd all be like, okay.
I mean, I'd probably still play it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they could make a Hollow Knight match 3, and I'd probably play it. Like, don't make me choose.
Hollow Knight Picross.
Yeah, I'd play that.
Do it. I want it.
I'd play all kinds of Picross.
Mm-hmm.
The Zelda one was really good. I would play a Hollow Knight one.
Oh, Hosk, we got your package. Thank you.
Ooh.
Yeah. I thought I'd let them know now because it's like it might not make it to mail time. We might just tear it to pieces beforehand.
All right. Well, that's all the news that we have. Thank you for joining us on this special Sunday ChillPoint. Should be back to regular time next week, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah. Thanks.
Ooh, another Murder by Numbers would be good.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and hope you, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should check out the episode of ChillPoint, which you probably will have already at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But if for some reason you haven't, you should check it out, or maybe just watch it again.
Don't forget, patreon.com/loadingreadyrun.
And also buy some merch at store.loadingreadyrun.com.
Those two things are also important. We will talk to all y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.